So now you're the new, well, one of the new Rangers on the block at the time, because it was, I'm trying to remember, it was because the Green Ranger was still there, and
green, pink, and blue.
yeah, so
They were there, and then we had 3 new ones, newbies, yeah.
So what was it like being the new Ranger in an already kind of established?
Yeah. When we got the part, we didn't know that we were replacing people. We thought we were joining the team. So it wasn't until we got the job that they were like, oh, by the way, 3 people left the show and you guys are taking their place. We're like, what? But no, it was great. I think at that time, like, it had been such a, like, you guys have heard the stories, like, Power Rangers was not a good paying gig, and, like, they left, and I mean, they kind of paved the way for us to even get a better paycheck than they had, you know? But it had, like, they had left set, and the production had been shut down, so by the time we got there, it was like, everyone was ready to get back to work. Everybody was really welcoming. It was like, you know, they were just like, let's do this, you know? And so it was really cool, and they made sure that we made a smooth transition. So it wasn't, I mean, we were obviously the new people, but we didn't have time to feel that. Like, it was like, we got 6 weeks to finish season 2, and we're shipping you guys off to Australia. You're gonna go shoot the movie. Like, we literally were like, we came in and we were running. We were racing to the finish line every day. So we had no time to even, like, think about it too much.
I actually, you know, saw an interview not too long ago myself. And you talked about the experience of making the movie and actually building the team. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, well, this is the thing. Like I said, we got on the show, we shot for 6 weeks, and then we went to Australia and we started shooting the movie. Like, it was really fast. And I mean, even if you work with someone for 6 weeks, we're literally racing to the finish line. We didn't really have that much time to, like, get to know each other, hang out. Like, I mean, you know, we're working, you know, 12, 15-hour days, 6 days a week, you know, and then on our off days, we would be in, like, fittings for the movie. Like, those costumes, they were, like, fitting us, and we had just so much stuff to do. So by the time we got to Australia, shooting a TV show was like a really fast-paced kind of situation. Shooting the movie was extremely slow. Like, we would work on a scene for a month, and we were like, we never spent a month on anything. So it was a very different pace, but what that did, that allowed for us to be able to hang out and get to know each other. Like, we'd be on set all day, and they would literally be like, okay, we're gonna light the scene. We'll have you come back in like an hour. It would be 5 hours later, we'd come back, you know, because they were, I mean, when you're lighting, you know, these I mean, it was like gigantic sound stages, or...
I was going to ask you, what was the difference? So it was timing between... I was going to ask you, what was the difference? So it was timing between a movie and a TV series. The timing between a movie and a TV series. The timing was just completely different.
Yes. Yeah, they would shoot it in segments, but they shot it that way so that we could. They would shoot it in segments, but they shot it that way so that we could move fast. And you wouldn't have to, like, you know, take on the burden of just spending an hour rehearsing something. So it moved really, really fast. But then you get to the movie, like that construction site scene, that fight scene, we spent a month in that, like, we were in there for a month, and they shot it this way, this way. I mean, it was like, but if you think about it, I mean, 6 people fighting, and we were fighting those, you know, ooze guys. I mean, it was a very intricate situation. So, and there was probably only like 10, there were like maybe 10 stunt guys, so we were all fighting the same 10, but it made you think there were like 50 or 100 of them, like the way that they shot it. But it took, you know, we were in there forever. But that was kind of the good thing, because that was the one time I felt like I finally got to rehearse. I finally got to feel like, I mean, we had multiple takes, so if you made a mistake, you knew you had another take, you could do it again, it would be amazing. And so, yeah. But it was pretty insane.
Okay. So, guys, please, if you have questions, just come straight to the mic. Please don't hesitate, guys.
Yes. Hi.
Hey.
Looking back, what does being a part of Power Ranger legacy mean to you, and how has it impacted your career?
Aw, thank you. You're awesome. You know, it's impacted my life in every single way. It's insane. Like, I tell people, like, the people always ask me, they go, do you miss being a Power Ranger? And I go, no, because every single weekend I'm a Power Ranger. Like, it's like, it has never left my life. Like, it's one of those jobs that I think it's when kids love something, it's a different type of love. And so the thing is, like, you guys have such a beautiful way of loving this show and loving our characters and loving, you know, what we did. And so it's such a blessing to be a part of something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's impacted my life in every way. Like, everywhere I go, like, especially now that there's social media, people know what we look like now. And so back, you know, I could hide or do something, but it's like I go to the grocery store and I have no makeup on, and they're like, I'll be talking to my husband and somebody will be like, Karen Ashley? And I'm like, what the heck? Like, you know, like, how do you know? And they're like, we heard your voice, or we know, like, we saw you and we knew that was you. And so it's like, you know, you get recognized everywhere. But it's just a beautiful thing. Like, you know, I to be a part of something, it was so ahead of its time, you know, and it was one of those things where, like, every single person in the world has had a Power Ranger that looks like them, that they could identify with. Like, that's huge. Like, everyone had a hero, you know. And so for me, it's like, to be a part of that and to be that for your childhood is beyond, beyond, beyond. Like, hey, sign me up. That is just amazing.
That's a great question.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys, if you have any more questions, please come up. Love to hear them.
Cute costume. Yes.
So, although you are one of the most amazing Power Rangers ever,
Oh, thank you.
but who was your favorite Power Ranger of all time?
Yeah.
Outside of yourself, like,
Yeah. Well, obviously Trini. Like, I felt like she got the party started, you know? I always just admired what she did, you know? And like you said, like, I look like you. There were a lot of Asian girls who said she looked like me, you know? And so it was so cool to be a part of something that was so diverse. And it wasn't like we talked about it, you know, on the show, but it was what kids needed. Like, they needed to see themselves as a hero. And so I've always thought, you know, the creators of the show, they were leaps and bounds ahead of even today's television. Like, they were so far, you know, ahead of the curve of what needed to be on TV. But I mean, I've always loved the Yellow Ranger. Like, I just thought she got the party started, you know. And then when we lost her so early, you know, like, we were just starting to do Comic-Cons, we were just starting to do, and we were like, what, you know? So it's like, I tell people all the time, I'm like, you know, I wholeheartely believe that she's with us every weekend, because, like, we literally talk about her every single weekend. And I know she would have loved this. She would have loved this, you know. She would have loved the love that you guys give out. So she's definitely one of my faves, for sure. Like, I always say she got the party started. I was just happy to, like, I literally stepped into her shoes. Like, we had the same costume, same boots, like, they didn't give me a new, I had nothing new. Like, they just, like, I wore thick socks because she was a half a size bigger than me. But it was such an honor to kind of take the mantle and do it my way. I mean, Trini and Aisha were two totally different characters, but it was still like we're still tied to each other, you know? I felt that way.
Hello. Thank you for being an icon, first of all. Trying to bring you with a very bit of my brain.
Yes.
But my actual question is, if you were not casted by you, is there another season where you were like, oh, it would have been fun to do this character, or it would be fun to do like in this
I don't know, but I have to be honest. I've never watched a full season of Mighty Morphin. So I've never watched any of the seasons. So I don't know about the other characters. I know all the people. Like, I literally know every single Ranger. I'm very proud to say that I've met like 98% of I've met almost everybody. There are a couple of people in New Zealand I haven't met, but I've met almost everybody. So I don't know, but I kind of like Aisha. I kind of like, you know, I feel like Mighty Morphin got the party started as far as Power Rangers. That was like the original series, and so I'm so honored to be a part of that. But I don't know, I'm sure there's some other good ones. Like, I mean, you guys go crazy over the show, so I know they were doing it. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hi.
Good morning, how you doing?
Good morning.
I admire you so much. Like,
Thank you.
being the legend of our region universe, like, especially black women of color.
Thank you.
I would ask you this. Do you think it's time to have an all-female Power Ranger team?
I have been saying this for years. He said an all-female Power Ranger team. I've literally been like, I said, y'all can do Forever Red, you can do Forever Pink and Yellow. I don't know, period. And they're not listening to me at all. But I told them, I was like, I don't see why not. You know, like girl power. Like we were girl power before girl power. Like think about that. Like it was like the first time that girls were on a team and we weren't like, you know, we were heroes too. We saved the day as much as the guys did. So I think that would be amazing. I don't think it'll ever happen, but I sure think it would be very cool. Even if it was one episode, it would be really cool if that happened. Yes, yeah, he's ready. I'm telling you, half of my bags came, and so the bag that is in here has all my Sharpies. And I was like, I have no Sharpies. And so this gentleman right here found me a yellow pink pen Sharpie, and I've got it just to sign your thing.
My question is, like, for starters, you were literally my first ever TV person on TV and all. Like, seriously.
Oh my God.
Aisha clapped on the stage. I was like, I'm watching Power Rangers forever.
Yes.
Right.
My question was, I was like super sad when you left the show and didn't go to ZO. I was like, I always wanted to know why did that make it happen?
Yeah, well, you know what, in real life, the people that we worked for, the powers that be, they were terrible people. You guys have heard the stories, you know, I never sugarcoated. They were literally, like our day-to-day crew was amazing. But the executives it was like a hostile work environment, you know, they were awful to everybody who worked for them. Like everyone has a story, unfortunately. And the same reason that the first three left was kind of the same reason I left. It had been enough, you know, and so I just kind of said, I'm done. And so that was why. It wasn't anything to do with like my cast or anything to do with that. It was just that they weren't very nice to us, you
Hostile
know.
work
They didn't pay us very much, and then even that, they didn't always want to pay us. Like it was like they were always trying to figure out ways for us to work for free. And I was like, we're pretty much working for free. Like, how much more can we? You know, it was just one of those situations. So I ended up leaving. I felt like I had done season 2, 3. I did the movie, and I felt like, okay, I've done enough. You know, let me try something else. And I went on to do other projects, but. You know, I would have, honestly, every single person who worked on the show, we would still be working there 30 years later if we would have just been treated fairly. Like, we loved doing the show. We loved being on the show. We loved everything about it. And it was just such a fun, it was a really fun you know, TV show to be on. And they just kind of, so that was it. That's the real reason.
Thank you for being awesome.
Thank you.
Hey, good morning, Miss Ashley. How you
Good
doing?
morning.
Good. Glad to have you here in South Carolina.
Thank
for being
you.
supportive,
Thank you.
Being here with us. I watched a podcast by Walter and Austin just a couple of months ago.
Okay.
They were speaking about some of the same things that you were talking about, how they didn't take care of you guys financially to make sure that you were well taken care of. But was there ever a sense or a meeting between the 3 previous actors and then your 3 group that came in, where it was like, okay, there's a handshake, there's a, you know, kind of just a nice way to kind of get you guys into the next game? Was there ever that kind of?
No, I mean, not until years later. Like, I mean, we when we got on the show, they were gone. So I'd never met them. Like I never even had the chance to meet them. I ended up meeting Twee, who was Trini. I met her at a party that one of the stunt guys had thrown. And I just so happened to, like, she was there, I was there, and we were like, oh my gosh. And I met her briefly for like, I mean, it was really quick, but we were like, oh, and she was like, good luck. And we're like, thank you, it's so nice to meet you. Like, it was one of those. And then that was it. I didn't meet Walter until like 10 years later, or Austin, I think I met, like, yeah, it was like, we didn't meet until way after the fact. But we're like so close. We're such good friends. Like we instantly were family. The minute we met, we were like, oh, like
Because you shared that same bond.
yeah, and it's almost like if you wore spandex, you're a part of the crew. Like, come on. Like, we share, like, we have this deep-seated, like, you know, we kind of all went through the same thing. We were all super young. We were all new to the business.
You
Like,
were about like 18, 19.
I just turned 18 years old, yeah. It was like, just graduated high school. Like, I graduated in May, and I was on the show in June. So it was like, literally, like, and
Fresh
so
off
that was
the-
all of us.
yeah,
We were
fresh
all kind
off
of
the
in
porch.
that same phase in our life. And thankfully, Comic-Cons have come about, and we've literally traveled the world together. Like, I told him, I'm like, we've spent more time with each other and done more adventures together than we've even done with our families. Like, it's, like, we've literally traveled the world as Power Rangers, and it's such a blessing. But yeah, we didn't, it wasn't until way later that we all got to meet and got to become friends, and now it's like, anytime we're in the same place, we're like, okay, family dinner. And we're like, everybody goes, at least one night we're all having dinner. Like, or, you know, and we love hanging out together. Like, we literally have the best time. So, it's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is my first con.
Yay!
Okay.
This was like on my dream list to meet you. Oh my god.
Thank
Oh my god,
you.
I grew up with Power Rangers, and like when I saw you on the screen, like, oh my god, you were my hero. I was such a tomboy. So
I love that.
I was such a tomboy, so I just like
Yes. Like, she's got her Yellow Ranger shirt on. I love it.
I didn't ask you questions. I was just like so fangirling. So you're like, oh my god, like above all celebrities, you're my favorite.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Like, I have no question.
To have people
Yeah. Well,
the impact that you had,
yeah.
that's amazing.
I always tell, like, I mean, you guys give us way more than we give you. Like, I mean, come on. Like, and then people have always said, like when you go to cons, do you ever meet the weird people? And I'm like, no. Like, our fans are great. I don't know about these other celebs, but we got the, our fans, you guys become 5 years old again. Like, whether
Right.
you're, like, we can have a 6'2", 300-pound dude walk up, and he comes up, his eyes, it's like he's 5 years old again. And he's like, oh my God. Like, and I mean, it's the most amazing thing. And look at this guy. And it's like from older to younger, everybody knows about it. It's insane. Hi.
Oh.
Fight? Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You want to know if you still got
I practice really hard. I always told people, I was like, I don't know karate, but I know crazy. Can you fight? Yeah. Oh, Power Ranger in training, guys. I know. You can have it. My back hurts. Now when I fight, I'm like, ow, what happened? We gotta stretch. Like, we really gotta stretch nowadays.
Just getting out of bed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I was like, we were like stretching, and yeah.
Did they actually put you through some martial arts training while you did the program? Nope, there's
No, they were like, go over there, work with them, and we're about to shoot. And I'm like, what?
What?
Yeah. I was like, ugh. But yeah, so it was like they throw you in the deep end, and you swim. You'll swim.
well, that's a really good lesson to learn, isn't it? You know,
But you know what, that's usually Hollywood. Like, I mean, there are some shows that will, like, you know, invest the money to let you rehearse and this and, but a lot of times it's like budget. And they're like, get over there, we saw you in audition, so you're physically active. So go ahead, you can do it.
you have legs, they work.
They work. Now kick it up there. Like, okay.
That sounds good.
Wow.
So I think, you know, seeing people come up and ask the questions, I mean, the really great thing about doing cons is that you get to meet the fans, you know? I mean, cons have kind of picked up in the last, let's say, about 5 to 6 years. Really.
It's insane.
Yeah, could you talk a little bit more about that cons?
Yeah, I mean, when we first started doing cons, I remember this like it was yesterday. I remember Steve Cardenas and Jason Frank hit me up on MySpace and said, Karen, We need, yeah, literally, they're like, oh my God, we've been trying to find you. There's a Comic-Con that wants you to come. And I was like, what? And I was like, call me, because I don't even know what that is. And so they call me, and they're on three-way, and they're like trying to tell me, there's this Comic-Con, you gotta come, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what is a Comic-Con? And they were like, it's like, and back then the only thing they could make me think of what it was, they were like, how they have these conventions, like where Star Wars or like, Star Trek. And I was like, oh yeah. And they go, they have that, but it's for everything. And they want you to come and you should come do it. And I was like, okay. That was 17 years ago. And literally that year I did like 3 of them. And I was like, what the heck? And the first one we went to, like they waited in line for us for 6 hours. Like it was me, Steve, Jason Frank, and another actor. And I mean, literally it was insane. And I was like, what is this? This is insane. I didn't even know people bought autographs. Like that's crazy. And we started doing cons, and it was like maybe 4 or 5 a year. And then they re-released Power Rangers on DVD or something like that. They did those box sets. And when they did that, all of a sudden we went from having like 5 cons to like 10 cons. And we were like, what the heck? And then it came out on Netflix. And then from there it was like, now it's like you go, I'm not free this weekend. Or it's like 30 shows a year, later. It's insane. And we've literally traveled the world, traveled the United States. I mean, I've gone places I've never gone before. And that's the cool part, because it's like you want to try. I'm literally one of those that I want to go everywhere. I want to at least see it once. But who has the time, right? But when you do cons and you get to come to places you've never been, and here I am in South Carolina, I'm like, what the heck? Yeah. Like, what a blessing. Like, Comic-Con is like taking me everywhere.
And the great thing is, because you get such a myopic view of your own life, whenever you get to go out there, you get to see.
You should have dropped a like on the content.
Just the world, and people in South Carolina, when you've impacted the world in some way.
Literally, like, I remember being on the show, and they would come up to us and they go, oh, we're number 1 in the world. And we're like, okay. Like, that sounds cool, but it's like, what is that? Like, how do you even, like, wrap your brain around that? Yeah, what does that mean? And so, but now that we've traveled...
That wasn't anything major either, so was it worth it?
It was better, but it wasn't like... literally, I remember I became friends with one of the producers, and, like, we became real good friends, and, like, we would go to concerts and stuff like that, and she, like, one day she just said, you know what, this is a great stepping stone for you, but these people are terrible.
This ain't it.
Goes, we literally came to the table and we were going to pay each one of you $1 million. And they were like, absolutely not, because then they'll come back to the TV show and want more money. And we were like, and just the thought of that. Like, we didn't get paid $1 million. We didn't get paid even close to that. Like, it was like, the movie was actually way better than the TV show, but it wasn't.
So the studio was going to pay $1 million, but the television people interfered?
They interfered, and they said, do not do it, and so they didn't, because they were going to take it away. Or they weren't going to let them have access to us, because it was one of those. But I was like sitting there thinking, like, they made $1 billion that first season.
Yeah.
Like, and they were like, no, they can't each. And so for me, I was like, that would have changed our life. Like, it would have been, like, back in the 90s, $1 million went a lot further than it does today,
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, that would have changed everyone's life. And it wouldn't even scratch the surface, because they weren't paying it. 20th Century Fox is paying it.
Right.
Like, they weren't even having to pay that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was the crazy part. And I'll never forget, we went to the premiere. Like, we had a huge premiere. Like, in LA, huge. My whole family came. It was amazing. I walked out of the premiere, and the first person of all people I run into was Haim Saban. And I'm walking out, and it's like I come out, and I'd already like did press or whatever, and I was literally going to my car, and they were going to take us to it was like an after party or some kind of like thing that we were going to. And when I walked out, I ran into him. He was coming out of his car, and I was going into a car. And I said, hi, how are you? Blah, blah. He had no idea who I was. None. Like, that look someone has when they don't know who you are? He had, I mean, it was
And you're the
blank.
lead star of the movie. Like,
He had no idea who it was, and in that moment, I was like, "This is like that gave me all the like I was like, he does not care. Like we are literally a 30-minute commercial for him to sell toys and make billions of dollars. He does not care, and he would tell us. They would tell you every day, if you don't do this, we'll fire you. We've fired the other 3. We'll get more people. Like we'll just keep changing them out. So it wasn't like that was literally what the producers would tell you. And you would be like, okay, fire me then. like at some point we were just like, okay, do it. Because we were like, they're not going to do it tomorrow, you know, but that's how it was. That was the environment.
Would be different because I mean, you guys have new suits and look
Yeah,
like
yeah.
big ordeal.
Oh, they spent, I mean, 20th Century Fox went all out. Like, I mean, it was,
of all the movies, it was like the
it
only
was like
real
the
big
Goonies
budget.
for them. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Well, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up now. But before we go, what we want to do is we want to take a picture with you guys in the background. All right? So, yeah, I think that's going to be the best way to get a little Sailor Moon with you.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you want to get closer,
Hey,
try to get into
I'm
the
finna get
picture,
this
that'd be
photo
great.
op, y'all.
I am charging my phone in the back, so brace yourself. I'm going to go run in the back.
Back later, y'all.
Just so you guys know, I got, I have like my, I don't know if you've been to my table yet. I have like a ton of merch, like a ton of stuff that we sell, whatever. You don't have to buy anything, but just so you know, if you do have anything to buy, half of my bags came and the other half is on its way from Atlanta. So we've got almost everything for you to see. But some of the stuff is not going to be until like 3 o'clock. But you can still see it if you want to buy it, and we'll make it happen.
All right.
Got
so
it? Yeah, you get over here.